we were speaking last week, a lot of the R&I clients that you're working with currently, they're having issues segmenting that database, and a lot of prospects that you speak to are having issues segmenting the UK company database. We know it's so vast, over 5 million companies. So we've got quite a cool tool that I know can help you do that. So do you want to just walk us through that really quickly and actually show how you could really easily build a targeted list of companies using our data builder?
Yeah, it's a great point, Steve. As you say, 5.5 million companies plus. So there's a lot of data, there's a lot of companies to cut through. And this makes very light work of that. So typically the types of queries that the people I speak to are looking to run are looking for companies in perhaps a given industry, in a given location, that meet certain financial characteristics. So for example, you could start your search looking at regionally located companies. It's quite popular because certainly for some of the bigger firms, they will have regional teams. So someone would sort of run a master search and then chuck this down into smaller categories based on region. So for example, from that full database number, I'm looking at companies in London and the Southeast. Then, as I say, I might be focusing on a particular industry, so I can filter that down then into the SIC codes and SIC descriptions, which sure. If you know the code, great. But if you don't, you can just do a free text search and it'll pull back anything that matches that search. So you can just
and you can actually open those up and have deeper dive, not just broad construction, but actually a specific SIC within each industry as well. That's really cool.
Absolutely, yeah. It will give you the option there. I've just ticked everything under that general construction heading. But if I want to be a lot more granular, as you say, I've got the option to go through and pick off specific SIC codes.
Fantastic. And in terms of, you've selected London there, but if I wanted to search by perhaps a specific postcode, how would I go about doing that?
Yeah, really easy. You just deselect the options for region and then move to the postcode instead. Always a good idea to have it on starts with. So you could add in central London. You could add in kind of somewhere in the southeast, say like Bromley, for example. And that's going to bring back, as it runs, you'll see here the count. It will just update as it searches through the database.
That's really useful. So you don't have to give an exact postcode. You can just start with, and it would incorporate those companies in that area.
Absolutely, yeah. You can do an exact postcode, but I think for the purpose of the type of search this would be, it's probably better to cast that net quite wide and then filter it down in the output.
Sure. Because, I mean, typically, the people that you're speaking with, they're trying to find potentially distressed companies that are about to go into distress. So can you show me a couple of the filters that you would apply, best practice to trying to find those companies?
Yeah, there's a few, Steve. I think depending on at what point you try and want to catch a business in the sort of the procedure that they might be going through. So a good starting point would be probably using company watch measures. Clearly, you can add a range of financial statement items to size a company. That might be using the P&L to look at the company in terms of sales, or perhaps balance sheet for total assets. But we would typically advocate looking at the score. So that's our measure of financial health. And in the kind of the bottom quartile, that what we call the warning area, that will pick up companies that are showing signs of financial distress. So straight from the off, you know that these companies have got similar characteristics to those that have subsequently failed. So that would be kind of a good starting point. I guess if you wanted to then build on that or again, refine further, you could add in specific event categories. So this could be anything, but I'm looking for stressed and distressed companies. So I'd be focusing on this here, the adverse events. And I might be looking for NVLs, for example. So I can just plug that in. Again, as with the industry search, it gives me what I need straight away. That'll trim that number down. But depending on what that gets to, it might be too narrow, as we can see, just 3 companies. So I might want to add, say, winding up petitions as well. That'll probably bump the number up a bit more. That'll just pull through and get me to a more manageable number.
Fantastic. I mean, that's a matter of seconds, and we've already filtered 5.5 million companies down to 15. So that's pretty quick in terms of building a list. In terms then, if I know one of the kind of unique features of it is the charge holder search functionality. So how can we layer that in to give an even more kind of valuable list? to use?
Yeah, I think we see this quite a lot where sort of the companies that I work with and speak to have external stakeholder relationships. So they might have peers that work within banks, for example. So maybe running an internal business review for a bank to look at how particular companies are performing against their loans. So you would kind of start the search with the same kind of filters. So just to keep it swift, I'll work on the regional basis again. And then just introduce the charge holder filter. So we look at who the companies bank with, and you can add in any persons entitled. So whoever that might be, maybe, I don't know, Santander, for example, HSBC. Again, I'm keeping that as contained. So it's going to match any charge holder with that name, because sometimes you see some sort of slight nuances in terms of the name of the charge holder. And then, as we've seen with the previous searches, just build in and introduce more filters around financial health, perhaps size of company and industry, as we saw before.
Yeah, you get sales, profit, all those kind of standard, configurables that you'd expect.
That's right.
So once I'm happy with a list, so then, that's literally within a matter of seconds, really, minutes, perhaps. What's the value here? Speed, accuracy, is it both, in terms of producing a list? And then if I wanted to take that, obviously it's nice in terms of on the platform, but I want to take that and actually work with that list. How would I go about doing that?
It's really easy. And I think just your point, Steve, around, what's the value? As you can see, 5.6 million companies, you've got it down to 18.4. You've got a working number all the time. So every filter you add, you can see the population you'll be working with. So then it's down to the user to determine, okay, that's a wide enough net, and I can then filter and refine even further. So again, just a few quick steps to get that into an accessible format. You'd usually rename that, but in the interest of time, we just move on to the output step. So we've actually created some quite common output packs, we call them. So these contain attributes that a lot of our clients like to see. So we just built them in. So you'll see here's a list of attributes that might be quite interesting. We've got a full file. So if you want everything in this system, you can pull down all of the data points from Data Builder, or you can go in and you can customize and create your own pack. So you literally just go through line by line. You can search for fields by name here and just add what you want to that pack and save it. So then that would be made available for you moving forward. But again, in simplicity, if I ran just a charge holder, I want to just pull out some high-level financials and who the charge holder details are.
Yeah.
Move to next. And that's done. So that will just churn for a few seconds.
Wow.
Refresh the search, and then it'll be available to download. It comes out in a zip file, and then I can just pull through just the CSV.
So that comes down as a CSV, and then, you're able to do what you want to do with that offline. So that's quite a nifty list then that I could share with a partner potentially, in terms of, this is a list of companies to go and have conversations with that potentially might be looking to restructure their business. If I put the effort in to do the search like you just have, just thinking then if a company, let's say overnight or, files new accounts, suddenly dips into my list, is that always on? Is that always searching the entire database and new companies will feed into that?
You would just rerun the search, Steve. It's easy enough to do. And I think it would then depend on your requirements for that work. So this can link directly to the main system. So you might want to go in there and set up a watch list, a portfolio, exactly for that reason. So the companies of interest to me, material changes to them, have they got CCJs filed? Are there new distress events filed against them? That's easy enough to set up. And then as and when those changes occur, you can just go back in and rerun the search. And this has taken a little bit longer because there's 19,000 results to churn through. Yeah. There's my download link. If I want to go and rerun that search again, I can just go through, pull back the same portfolio, pull back the search results, and just refresh. Or I can go back to home, clear everything out, and start again.